You are not stuck because God forgot you. You are stuck because fear has replaced your faith. Time is moving. Destiny is calling. And hesitation is stealing what heaven already prepared for you. This is not delay. This is disobedience to the voice inside you. Break the agreement with doubt. Break the cycle today. Because what's keeping you stuck is not the devil, it's the version of you that refuses to rise. The real reason you feel stuck. Listen to me. I want you to open your heart, not just your ears. Because what I am about to say is not for your ears alone. It is for your spirit. It is for that quiet place inside you that no one sees. That place you try to silence. That place that whispers at night when everyone else is asleep. Many people are moving, but they are not progressing. Many are busy, but they are not advancing. Many are alive, but they are not living. And the question you keep asking yourself is this: why do I feel stuck? You wake up in the morning with plans. You make promises to yourself. You say, this week will be different. You say, this month I will change. You say, this year I will rise. But somehow you return to the same place, the same frustration, the same disappointment, the same invisible wall that refuses to break. You feel stuck in your career, stuck in your finances, stuck in your emotions, stuck in your dreams. And sometimes you cannot even explain it. You just know that something is not moving. Let me tell you something today. The real reason you feel stuck is not outside of you. It is inside. Yes, you heard me. It is easy to blame your environment. It is easy to blame your background. It is easy to blame people who did not support you. It is easy to blame opportunities that never came. But if you want freedom, you must face the truth. The greatest prison is not made of iron bars. The greatest prison is made of fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being judged, fear of not being enough. You say you want to move forward, but you are afraid of what forward requires. You say you want change, but you are afraid of what change will cost you. Progress always demands something. It demands comfort. It demands old habits. It demands old relationships. It demands the version of you that has outgrown its purpose. You cannot step into a new season with an old mindset. That is the real reason many feel stuck. The body is ready, but the mind is not. The opportunity is there, but the courage is missing. You pray for elevation, but you avoid responsibility. You pray for growth, but you resist discipline. You pray for open doors, but when the door opens, you hesitate to walk through it. Listen carefully. Feeling stuck is not always a sign that nothing is happening. Sometimes it is a sign that something inside you must break before something outside you can change. There are seeds that struggle under the soil. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening, but underneath, roots are forming, strength is developing, foundation is being built. However, a seed that refuses to break will never grow. Some of you are stuck because you refuse to break. You refuse to let go of the pain you have carried for years. You refuse to forgive. You refuse to release bitterness. You refuse to confront the truth about yourself. You want a new life, but you are holding on to old wounds. Bitterness is heavy. Regret is heavy. Guilt is heavy. And when you carry heavy things for too long, you cannot move fast. You cannot move freely. You cannot move forward. You feel stuck because you are dragging yesterday into today. Let yesterday go. Let the mistakes go. Let the embarrassment go. Let the failure go. Let the words they spoke about you go. You cannot drive forward while looking in the rearview mirror. Another reason you feel stuck is comparison. Comparison is a thief. It steals your joy. It steals your confidence. It steals your focus. You look at someone else's journey and you measure your worth by their speed. You look at someone else's success and you question your value. But you do not know their process. You do not know their sacrifices. You do not know their battles. When you compare, you distract yourself from your own assignment. And when you are distracted, you cannot progress. You are not behind. You are on your path. But the moment you start looking sideways, you lose momentum. Stay in your lane. Another truth, you feel stuck because you are waiting for perfect conditions. You are waiting for the right time. You are waiting for more money. You are waiting for more confidence. You are waiting for support. You are waiting for certainty. But growth does not wait for perfection. If you wait until you are ready, you will wait forever. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement in the presence of fear. The people you admire did not move because they were unafraid. They moved despite fear. You say, "What if I fail?" I ask you, what if you don't try? You are stuck not because you lack ability, but because you doubt it. Doubt is a silent killer of destiny. It whispers, "You are not qualified." It whispers, "You are too late." It whispers, "Others are better." And if you listen long enough, you begin to believe it. But hear me clearly. The voice of doubt is not the voice of truth. You have survived things you once thought would break you. You have endured storms that tried to drown you. You have overcome challenges that looked impossible. Why then do you underestimate yourself now? You feel stuck because you have forgotten who you are. You have forgotten your resilience. You have forgotten your strength. You have forgotten your capacity to rise. Sometimes the real battle is not against external forces. It is against the lies you have accepted about yourself. And let me say this, comfort can also make you feel stuck. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels familiar. Comfort does not challenge you. But comfort also does not grow you. You can be comfortable and stagnant at the same time. There are people who complain about their situation, but they refuse to leave it. They dislike their routine, but they refuse to change it. They desire transformation, but they avoid discomfort. Transformation and comfort cannot live in the same house. If you want a different result, you must be willing to do something different. Feeling stuck is often a signal that your current habits are no longer serving your future. Examine your habits. Examine your daily routines. Examine your thoughts. Because your life moves in the direction of your most consistent behavior. Another reason you feel stuck is unresolved identity. You are trying to become something without first understanding who you are. When you do not know who you are, you chase everything. You try everything. You follow every trend. You listen to every opinion. And in the process, you lose clarity. Clarity creates direction. Direction creates action. Action creates progress. Without clarity, you wander. And wandering feels like being stuck. You must ask yourself what truly matters to me. What aligns with my values? What kind of life do I truly desire? Not what society expects, not what others demand, not what looks impressive. What is true to you? When you live in alignment with your truth, movement becomes natural. Let me go deeper. Some of you are stuck because you are afraid to disappoint people. You live your life trying to please everyone. You say yes when you want to say no. You stay silent when you need to speak. You shrink when you should stand tall. And slowly, you lose yourself. When you betray yourself long enough, you feel trapped in a life that does not feel like yours. Freedom begins the moment you decide that your peace is more important than approval. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will agree with your decisions. Not everyone will support your growth. But you cannot allow their expectations to imprison your potential. And hear this carefully, sometimes you feel stuck because you are in transition. Transition is uncomfortable. It feels uncertain. It feels confusing. You are no longer who you used to be, but you are not yet who you are becoming. That middle space can feel like stagnation. But it is not stagnation. It is preparation. When a caterpillar enters the cocoon, it looks inactive from the outside, but inside, transformation is taking place. Do not despise the process. Growth is not always visible. Progress is not always loud. Change is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, subtle, internal. But that does not mean nothing is happening. However, preparation requires participation. You cannot grow if you resist the lessons your current season is teaching you. Ask yourself, What is this moment trying to teach me? Is it teaching patience? Is it teaching discipline? Is it teaching humility? Is it teaching resilience? If you refuse the lesson, you repeat the season. That repetition is what makes you feel stuck. Another reason you feel stuck is because you are waiting for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Some days it is strong, other days it is absent. Discipline is what carries you when motivation disappears. If you only act when you feel inspired, you will remain inconsistent. And inconsistency produces stagnation. Small actions, repeated daily, create powerful change. You do not need a dramatic leap. You need consistent steps. One step today, one decision today, one brave action today, and tomorrow another. Movement creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Do not underestimate small beginnings. Let me speak to the heart of the matter. You feel stuck because you are at war with yourself. One part of you wants growth. Another part wants safety. One part wants risk. Another part wants certainty. This internal conflict drains energy. And when your energy is divided, progress slows. You must decide. Indecision is a hidden trap. It keeps you in the same place while convincing you that you are thinking carefully. There comes a time when you must choose and commit, even if the path is not perfectly clear, even if the outcome is uncertain. Commitment creates power. And finally, you feel stuck because you underestimate the power of your own voice. The words you speak about yourself shape your reality. If you constantly say, "I am stuck," your mind begins to search for evidence to confirm it. If you constantly say, "Nothing ever works for me," your focus shifts toward failure. Change your language and you begin to change your perception. Instead of saying, "I am stuck," say, "I am in transition." Instead of saying, "I cannot," say, instead of saying, "It is impossible," say, "It is challenging." Words matter. Belief matters. Your mind is powerful. Train it carefully. Today, I want you to understand this deeply. Feeling stuck is not your identity. It is a temporary experience. It is a signal. It is an invitation. It is a call to examine your life more honestly. It is not a life sentence. You are not powerless. You are not incapable. You are not forgotten. There is more inside you than you have allowed yourself to explore. But you must be willing to confront yourself. You must be willing to release what no longer serves you. You must be willing to act despite fear. You must be willing to step out of comfort. You must be willing to silence doubt. You must be willing to commit. Stand up in your spirit. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for perfect timing. Stop waiting for validation. The power you are looking for outside has been inside you all along. The real reason you feel stuck is not because the world is holding you back. It is because you have not fully decided to move forward. Decision is powerful. The moment you decide that you will grow, that you will change, that you will rise, something shifts. Energy shifts. Focus shifts. Behavior shifts. And when behavior shifts, results follow. Do not leave this moment unchanged. Do not hear these words and return to old patterns. Take one step. Have one hard conversation. Make one bold move. Release one old habit. Let today be the day you stop calling yourself stuck. Let today be the day you recognize that you are in process. And process, when embraced, leads to progress. You are not finished. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are becoming. And becoming requires courage. So rise. Rise in your thoughts. Rise in your actions. Rise in your belief. Break the fear. Break the doubt. Break the comfort. Break the silence. Because on the other side of that break is growth. On the other side of that break is clarity. On the other side of that break is the life you have been longing for. You are not stuck. You are standing at the edge of transformation. Take the step and watch what happens. The identity shift that unlocks everything. Listen carefully. Everything changes the moment identity changes. Not behavior first. Not results first. Not circumstances first. Identity first. Because behavior follows identity. Decisions follow identity. Standards follow identity. and destiny follows identity. Many struggle not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunity, not because they lack intelligence. They struggle because they are trying to create a new life with an old identity. They are attempting to produce different results while still seeing themselves the same way they did years ago. As long as you see yourself as small, you will shrink in big moments. As long as you see yourself as unworthy, you will sabotage worthy opportunities. As long as you see yourself as behind, you will move with hesitation. Identity is the invisible script running your life. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. If deep inside you believe you are average, you will unconsciously avoid excellence. If deep inside you believe success is not for people like you, you will reject it when it comes close. Identity shapes what you believe you deserve. Many want transformation, but they are afraid of identity loss. Because when identity shifts, comfort disappears. Old habits become uncomfortable. Old conversations become tiring. Old environments feel smaller. Growth demands that you outgrow the version of yourself that once felt safe. There are identities formed in childhood, identities formed by failure, identities formed by rejection, identities formed by labels spoken by others. You are not smart. You are too quiet. You are not leadership material. You will never change. Words become beliefs. Beliefs become identity. Identity becomes reality. The identity shift begins with awareness. Awareness that the person you have been is not the person you must remain. Awareness that identity is not fixed, it is formed. And if it was formed, it can be reformed. If it was learned, it can be unlearned. If it was built, it can be rebuilt. You act in alignment with who you believe you are. If you believe you are disciplined, you behave with discipline. If you believe you are resilient, you endure pressure differently. If you believe you are capable, you approach challenges with strength instead of fear. The external world responds to the identity you carry internally. There is a version of you that hesitates, a version that doubts, a version that plays small. That version was shaped by experience, but it is not your final form. The identity shift requires you to consciously choose a new internal standard. Not pretending, not forcing, deciding. You must ask yourself, who must I become to create the life I desire? Not what must I do, but who must I become? Because doing without becoming creates temporary change. Becoming creates permanent transformation. When identity shifts, habits follow naturally. A person who identifies as healthy does not negotiate with destructive habits daily. Health becomes their standard. A person who identifies as focused does not constantly battle distraction. Clarity becomes their baseline. Identity reduces internal conflict. The reason many feel stuck is because they are trying to act like someone they do not believe they are. They attempt confident behavior while internally believing they are insecure. They attempt leadership while internally believing they are unqualified. That internal contradiction creates exhaustion. The identity shift removes contradiction. It aligns belief with action. It creates internal harmony. And when you are aligned within, power flows outward. This shift is not about arrogance. It is not about pretending to be superior. It is about accepting responsibility for the potential within you. It is about recognizing that your current identity may be outdated. Just because it protected you before does not mean it should define you now. There was a time when staying small protected you. There was a time when silence protected you. There was a time when avoiding risk protected you. But protection is not purpose. Safety is not destiny. An outdated identity becomes a cage. You may have outgrown it, but you are still wearing it. Like clothes that no longer fit, it restricts movement. You attempt bigger actions, but the identity restricts you. You attempt bold decisions, but the identity whispers doubt. The shift begins when you stop introducing yourself to yourself through your past. You are not your worst mistake. You are not your biggest failure. You are not the rejection you experienced. Those events happened, but they are not your identity. Identity is chosen at the level of belief, and belief is strengthened through repetition. The person you consistently tell yourself you are becomes the person you consistently behave like. The identity shift requires courage because it demands that you let go of excuses. When you identify as someone powerful, excuses become unacceptable. When you identify as someone responsible, blame loses its appeal. Growth requires ownership. Ownership is uncomfortable. It forces you to say, if I am not moving, something in me must change. It forces you to stop pointing outward and start examining inward. It requires humility. But humility is the doorway to strength. There is also a social cost to identity shift. Not everyone will understand it. When you elevate your standards, some relationships will feel strained. When you refuse to participate in old patterns, some will call you different. When you start thinking bigger, some will call you unrealistic. But you cannot maintain an old circle with a new identity without tension, because identity influences conversation. It influences focus. It influences priorities. When your identity shifts, your environment must either adjust or distance itself. Many resist the shift because they fear isolation, but temporary loneliness is often the price of permanent growth. The space created by leaving behind old identities allows room for new opportunities. The identity shift also transforms how you interpret challenges. With an old identity, challenges feel like confirmation of inadequacy. With a new identity, challenges feel like training. The same obstacle, different interpretation. Identity changes perception. Perception changes response. If you identify as weak, difficulty feels overwhelming. If you identify as resilient, difficulty feels sharpening. The challenge does not change. You change. Identity determines your emotional baseline. Someone who identifies as confident may feel fear, but they do not become fear. Someone who identifies as determined may feel tired, but they do not become defeated. Emotions pass through them without redefining them. The identity shift requires consistent reinforcement. You cannot declare it once and expect permanent transformation. It is built daily through decisions. Each time you act in alignment with the new identity, it strengthens. Each time you betray it, it weakens. Start small. If you want to identify as disciplined, keep small promises to yourself. If you want to identify as courageous, take small risks. If you want to identify as focused, eliminate small distractions. Identity is constructed brick by brick. The shift also requires mental discipline. You must guard your self-talk. If you constantly repeat the language of your old identity, you reinforce it. Words are powerful. They shape neural pathways. They reinforce belief systems. Speak in alignment with who you are becoming. This is not fantasy. This is psychological reality. The brain seeks consistency. When you declare a new identity and repeatedly act in alignment with it, your brain begins to accept it as truth. The discomfort decreases. The behavior becomes natural. The identity shift unlocks everything because it changes what you tolerate. A person who identifies as high standard does not tolerate mediocrity. A person who identifies as growth-oriented does not tolerate stagnation. Standards rise automatically when identity rises. You stop negotiating with lower versions of yourself. You stop entertaining distractions that contradict who you are becoming. Decisions become easier because they are filtered through identity. Ask yourself before every major decision, does this align with who I am becoming? That single question eliminates confusion. It brings clarity to choices. It exposes misalignment. Identity also influences what you pursue. When you shift internally, your ambitions evolve. Your goals become reflections of your belief about yourself. You no longer chase validation, you pursue purpose. You no longer seek applause, you seek alignment. The identity shift changes how you walk into rooms. Not because you are louder, but because you are centered. You are not seeking approval. You are not shrinking to fit. You are present. That presence is felt. Confidence is not volume. Confidence is certainty about identity. When you know who you are, you do not need to convince others. You simply operate from that knowing. There is power in self-definition. If you do not define yourself, the world will define you, and those definitions are often limited. The identity shift is an act of reclaiming authorship over your life. You choose what you believe about yourself. You choose the narrative you repeat. You choose the identity you reinforce. This is not passive, it is active construction. Many want external breakthroughs without internal reconstruction. But the breakthrough is internal first. When the internal foundation shifts, the external structure follows. The identity shift also affects resilience in failure. When identity is tied to results, failure destroys confidence. When identity is tied to growth, failure refines strategy. You stop interpreting setbacks as personal condemnation and start seeing them as data. Data does not define you. It informs you. That distinction is powerful. You are not your current results. You are the person producing them. Change the producer, and the production changes. Change the identity, and the outcomes evolve. There is also a spiritual dimension to identity shift. When you see yourself as created for growth, for impact, for contribution, you operate differently. You move with intention. You live with responsibility. Identity determines contribution. If you see yourself as insignificant, you limit your impact. If you see yourself as capable of influence, you act with greater awareness. The world changes when individuals change how they see themselves. The identity shift unlocks everything because it removes internal resistance. Resistance often comes from misalignment. When you try to step into abundance while identifying with scarcity, resistance appears. When you try to step into leadership while identifying with inadequacy, resistance appears. Alignment removes friction. When your identity matches your vision, movement feels natural. Effort remains, but conflict decreases. You must also be patient with the shift. Identity does not transform overnight. There will be moments when the old voice tries to return. Old patterns will attempt to reassert control. This is normal. It is part of the transition. Do not interpret temporary relapse as permanent failure. Each moment is a new opportunity to reinforce the chosen identity. Consistency over time solidifies it. Visualize the version of yourself that embodies your highest potential. Not as fantasy, but as blueprint. How does that version think? How does that version speak? How does that version handle adversity? Begin aligning your daily behavior with that blueprint. This is not imitation. It is integration. That version is not separate from you. It is an expanded expression of you. The identity shift requires honesty. You must confront the narratives that have limited you. You must question beliefs you accepted without examination. Where did this belief come from? Does it serve my future? Is it rooted in truth or fear? Questioning belief weakens its unconscious power. Conscious awareness gives you choice. Choice gives you control. Identity is not a prison unless you allow it to be unexamined. When examined, it becomes flexible, moldable, expandable. As your identity expands, so does your tolerance for growth. You handle pressure differently. You interpret silence differently. You interpret waiting differently. Everything is filtered through the lens of who you believe you are. The identity shift is not about becoming someone else. It is about removing the limitations that kept you from becoming fully yourself. It is about stepping into the capacity that was always present but underdeveloped. It is about recognizing that the person you are capable of being has been waiting for your permission. Permission to think differently. Permission to act differently. Permission to expect more. Permission to demand better. Permission to grow beyond the version that once felt sufficient